Good morning, good life. You're listening to Detail Therapy, episode 78. How to create a brand that everyone will remember.
She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author, obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail.
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
Today, we've got the entrepreneurial spirit and are building memorable brands. We will be discussing the mistake most companies make when they are trying to make their product or service appealing, the truth about picking the right name, and loads of tips of branding so people know how to quickly and easily engage with you and therefore potentially buy what you're selling. All that and more on this episode of Detail Therapy. For those of you who are new to the show, my name is Amy Landino and I will be your host. You can think of me as your number one productive lifestyle coach. I'm the founder of Gatlu House, a media company dedicated to helping you go after the life you want. In addition to this podcast, we produce the award-winning YouTube series, Amy TV, and convene ambitious women worldwide to build the business of their dreams in the Gatlu Society. My latest book will help you start your day on your terms. Good Morning, Good Life is now available on Amazon in your favorite format, paperback, audio, Kindle. You be the judge. Links to everything I'll be talking about today will be in our show notes. And those notes, announcement time, will be found at our new destination, detailtherapy.online. Yes, I need to tell you about this because this is a very big deal and also has to do with the sponsor of this episode, .online domain names. I am thrilled to share that we have teamed up with our friends at .online to move all of our show notes for Detail Therapy to one easy to remember domain. Do you see a theme here? Easy to remember. From now on, anytime you want to see any information that we discussed on the show, just head over to detailtherapy.online and you'll see all your favorite episodes so that you can dive in and learn more. It is so important to make this easy for you because I know you're multitasking when you listen to the show. In fact, there's so much that goes into creating a podcast like this. If you're doing something similar, you might know how easy it is to get lost in the big tasks like sitting down and recording something or creating something and forgetting about the smaller stuff when it comes to building your brand, the stuff that complements this audio so that you remember where to find it and why you love it. One small thing that is quick and easy yet massively critical and cannot be missed is having the right domain name. Being able to claim your brand with a memorable domain thanks to the help of the right domain extension is a great way to stand out and make it easy to connect with you when your community decides to do it on their time. New domain extensions such as .online have made it easier to build a memorable brand on the internet, which of course is our theme of today's show and why I wanted to share it with you today. Get started building your brand by registering your .online domain. Visit www.get.online. And if you use my code AMY, you will get 90% off of your 1-year domains. Yes, you heard me correctly. 90% off. Get out there, log on today, get.online with code AMY. So we're staying on this theme of creating a brand that everyone will remember. It's so much easier to remember when you know exactly where to go to get what you want, kind of like how you come to Detail Therapy when you're trying to go after the life you want. So we want to make it just as easy for somebody who is learning about you and your company and your brand to remember you, to come back to you, to tell everyone about you. So I have a bunch of tips here I want to share with you. And so if this is anything to do with one of your passion projects of late, whether you're starting a business or you just need to get a better job and want to be the memorable brand that somebody thinks about when they want to hire, this is going to be really useful for you. My first tip is know your audience. This is so important. It's in everything I've ever, ever, ever talked about. Still to this day, when somebody asks me, what's your biggest thing that I would learn from reading your book, Vlog Like a Boss? It's know who you're talking to. Now, if you make something for everyone, it might be nice, but no one's going to want it. And that's because it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel right, particularly for them individually. Because you know what? We humans, we think we are so special. I'm special. I have different problems than everyone else. Spoiler alert, we all have the same problems. Somebody has been in our place before. It has happened. Somebody knows how to solve this problem. They have done it. And we think our problems are so special. But guess what? They're not. It doesn't matter. You still need to play to somebody in the way that they think, in the way that they are telling themselves this story. How can you be a part of that story? The only way to know is if you know who you're talking to. The more specific that you are about who your audience is, the more special you will be to them. And those people are going to be the ones that move the bottom line for you, meaning financials. Are they buying the product? Are they telling people about the product? Are they recommending the product? Are they recommending you? You are the product. Now, you need to come to terms with that very quickly because it's so easy to say, well, no, we have like these customers and then we have like those customers. And you know what? Sure, you could be Walmart. You really could. You could be Walmart if you want. Walmart had to have a beginning. Here's a better example. Amazon. You know what Amazon sold at the beginning? Books. Just books. Maybe a couple of other things, but everybody went to Amazon for books. Are you kidding me? They took the thing that might be the hardest thing to get people to do, read, and the hardest thing to get people to buy, books, and they turned it into one of the most profitable businesses in the history of the world. So you have to remember that your audience needs to be very specific, especially at the beginning. It's okay for your story to change or things to grow in the future. And you can have that vision. But if you don't know exactly who you're talking to right now, you're not going to get off the ground. Everything will be too vanilla. It'll be too all over the place. It will not be memorable because you'll be just like anybody else that there would be to choose from. And you don't want that to be the case. You want people to say, oh, you'll like them because X. What is that X factor? What is that thing? It has a lot to do with what you do to benefit other people. And those people need to know you are for them. My second tip is about your name. Choose your name. Now, my biggest tip about this is extremely important and also not that darn important, okay? Do not dwell on this. You should not overcomplicate it. This is how I think of it. Tell you what, I know this better than anybody else. Your name is important because people need to use it, right? They need to be able to say it. They need to be able to articulate it to others. But if Netflix can recover from things like the Flickster debacle, and if Puff Daddy can become P. Diddy, names are important. However, we will survive if we need to make an adjustment later. So there's going to be this constant back and forth with you. Do I put my name on it? Do I put a product name on it? Depending on what your individual situation is at this point, I'm probably talking to a lot of people who are starting business, an upstart of some kind, and they're trying to navigate what they're even doing and who they're even talking to. So the name becomes this fun, interesting piece of fodder that you have to decide on so you can go and make your logo. Well, the reality is you should not dwell on it. You should not overcomplicate it. You need to pick something. It needs to align with your mission. We'll get to that. And once you do that, lean into it. Use that name. I have had names in the past that I changed. I had a lot of equity and brand awareness in those names. That's okay. I'm still able to pivot as long as I communicate it and it all makes sense. I have survived it. If I can, so can you. So remember that this is important, but not so important that you're never going to start because you can't come up with a name, okay? It's got to be simple to understand or easily explained, right? So does everyone know what a Google is? I mean, yeah, you might if you Googled it, but I don't know what it is. And I still remember going back to Google all the time. I think I actually just learned what Google meant the other day, which is really funny. But if you can't really explain it, at least make it easy to remember. With Gatlu, that was a very specific decision, right? I basically took the first letters of every word of Go After the Life You Want, except for the U, which starts with a Y and not a U. So it's confusing. But guess what? I know who my audience is. My audience for Gatlu knows what Gatlu means. If they don't know what Gatlu means, they find out when they get to the homepage of the website. It's very easily explained. Go after the life you want. If it's too overcomplicated for somebody, it's probably because they're not the right fit. So even if your word is a made up name, make it easy to explain or understand and make it simple if it is plain English or plain said language that you might be using. Now, the other big thing with choosing a name is this. These days in the digital revolution, you do not want to be picking a name unless you have checked resources for their availability. Because if you're going to start a website, which you need to start a website. If you're going to start an Instagram or a YouTube, which you probably should, all these things are on your list of potential assets that you will have. You want to check for their availability. So going to places like .online to see if you can get your URL. We couldn't get detailtherapy.com, but that's okay. We could get detailtherapy.online. And it's actually perfect because everything that we do is online. So that was a great match for us. Totally brand aligned. We also could go to .store and get a redirect for our store at Gatlu. So if you go to gatlu.store, that's a place where you can shop. So the .store kind of helps you come to that conclusion with the URL, and the Gatlu is the name of the game for us. You go to Instagram, you check to see if the handles are available. Is Gatlu available? Or obviously Gatlu was available because I made that word up, right? And so you kind of just check, okay, is this a good name because I can explain it? It's simple. And I can get the assets now. Believe me, the number of URLs I own is unbelievable. Because every time I have an idea, I'm like, oh, Amy, .online. Like I have to have it right away. So just make sure you check those assets. It doesn't hurt to just buy a URL, own it, and know that you can use it at any point in time, because that's a huge step in the process. You don't want to be so invested in a name, find out it's trademarked, find out it's already being used by another account, and have everything get a little sticky and difficult. So choosing a name, don't dwell on it, don't overcomplicate it, check the resources, make sure you grab it. My third tip is to state your mission. If you don't know what the mission is for your brand and you don't see a vision for what you're doing for the world, it's very hard to see the big picture. And this is going to be vital for your employees, okay? Whether you are just an individual doing something that we're going to call a passion project and you're the only employee, or you actually do have a team that is supporting you on this and you're building out that company. The vision and the mission are so important. And if you can't state it to anyone else because no one else is interested, then you state it to yourself every day when you go in to do the hard work that you have to do. Or when you are trying to let your team know that what they're doing, that nitty gritty, all the treadmill and hamster wheel work that they have to do, there is a bigger purpose for it. Our vision, and I think of things a little bit differently between vision and mission. The mission is really kind of how we do something. The vision is the big why. And our Gatlu House vision is a thriving and inspired life for all. We may help a very specific group of people. That's the how, that's the mission, and I'll tell you that in a second. But the vision is that in turn, if we've done our job on that mission, the vision will come true. And so that's why we have that. But when we state our mission is to connect women to ideas and resources that inspire, entertain, empower, and educate them toward an intentional life of their own design, in turn bettering themselves and the people around them. That mission, just stating that mission, even if you just say it to yourself, it should get you in the headspace that you're not just creating a blog or creating a sock company or creating a YouTube channel or creating whatever it is that you're doing, that brand that you are building. You're doing so much more than that. And there's going to be other ways to articulate this. This might look great on your website and be awesome for people to read. And there's going to be other ways to make it even quicker and easier for people to understand how you make their lives better. But the mission, I think, really gets your engine revving inside of you in your heart heart and in your mind and in your action stance to be able to do the things it's going to take to build a memorable brand. One of my favorite things about the mission in general is this conversation around when to say yes and when to say no. And especially when let's say you're just getting started as a services-based business, if you aren't clear on your mission, then it's very easy to forget, and therefore you'll take any paycheck, right? Like when you're just getting started, you're like, oh my God, I just got to do it. Even if in your gut, you can tell that client's not going to be a good one for you. Know that mission, state your mission. If it is a no, then it's a no. It gives you so much more clarity when something is an absolute yes versus a no. My next tip is to relate your story. So we live in a world now where people don't do business with logos. People don't do business with just company names, right? They do business with people. They like to see the people behind the brand. And so if you are the founder of that brand, being able to share and relate your story is a fantastic way to build those relationships, and it will often be asked of you. As you talk about your company and your brand with people, so many are going to look at you and go, whoa, and they're going to want to go back to a point that makes sense to them. And therefore, you're going to get the question, how did you get started with that? This will be the number one question that you get, not how do you get such good prices on your product and sell it at a margin. Nope, that's not what it is. It's always going to be, how did you get your start? Because people want to be able to buy from people. And the more they can understand a simpler time in your life where the game changed for you and it all clicked, that's what the magic is for so many. So know what the answer to that question is. And it might sound dumb, like, what do you mean how to get my start? Of course I remember how I got my start. But the more you can come to the conclusion philosophically where you had that game-changing moment that made you decide to take such big leaps, the more you can point to the importance of what you actually do. And you don't want those two worlds to be different. You don't want it to be like, oh, I was so inspired by this thing and I decided I have to do this and I have to. And then I started working on a company that I don't really care about that much, but it's making me money, so I'm good. Like, they have to be synergistic. And if you really want people to be excited about your product, you'll be excited about how you came to the conclusion to get there. And people can tell if you are not excited about what you do. Okay? They just can. So you better be in it for more than just money. But financial freedom is also fantastic. It's a big, big, big part of the equation. But it is not the whole equation. Next, if you want to create a memorable brand, you will credit your team. A company is not all about its founder. Although when you tell your story, you want people to remember it, but you also want to connect the fact that you are an effective founder because you support your team and that those people are the ones that you brought on board to do the things that they do best so that you don't do things that you really suck at. Okay? Showcase their work. Make them feel like they're part of the family because they are your customers too. They are the people that bring this whole thing together. So making them happy is just as important as making your whole audience and customer base happy as a brand. So all of these people come together as a family. It's not just your baby. It's all of your thing. No matter how big or how little their job might be, you must credit your team because they are the ones that are making this all possible. For those of us who got started and didn't have a team right off the bat, anyone that helped me with anything ever was basically treated like a paid employee, except for the getting paid part because we were bootstrapping, honey. But any help that you get, credit your team. If your team is your significant other or your team is your nephew who's running your social media platforms, if your team is anything, give them credit because the more that you empower them, the more you empower the brand as a whole and you empower your community to appreciate your work. My next tip is to create your vibe. So colors and fonts, these are the things we think about when we think of the word brand, but that's really just the beginning. You do want everything to look and feel like you and like your audience, something that your audience will be appealing to, but you also need it to sound like you. So when you think about your mission and you think about who your community is, the name of your entire entity, all of that needs to be in an alignment with messaging. The mission should align with your why and your audience. Why all of these things work together, come together, and build a brand that's even worth remembering. What do you do for everyone? Why does it work? And how do you talk and how do you look that makes it a full-blown package? Again, it's not just about the colors and the fonts. I know when we think about a branding kit, we think of just give me my logo, man. I just need something to put on a business card. It's not just about that. It's how you treat people, both employees and customers, and yourself. Create your vibe. On a design note in particular, I want to stress the importance of not settling, because there is so much out there that is an opportunity for you to build the brand of your dreams, especially when you look at something, whether it's a website or a business card, and say, yeah, that is my thing. You should feel like that. And you should never be afraid to tell the people that you're working with, that team that you're going to give so much credit to, never be afraid to tell them, let's do better. Let's do better. Let's do better. Do not question the abilities of others. When you question them instead of challenging them to do better, you limit the opportunity for yourself and your brand as a whole. And nobody wants that. It seems like the easy thing to do, right? Like, oh, wow, this is really good. Thank you. I have done that so many times. And I have been disappointed every time. Disappointed with myself because I didn't just say straight up, we can do better. So do not settle. When it comes to your vibe, if you came up with the name and you know your audience so well, you know their middle name and what their commute is like on the way to work, and you wrote out a whole mission to drive the level of happiness and action of your company, you can't even get the right font, don't settle. Push for it. Get that vibe. And my final tip for creating a brand that everyone will remember, share your benefits. Something I often see businesses do that is a huge mistake when they're getting started is going to market and just touting a bunch of features. Like, hey, look, we have this button and we also have this service. And this also helps you to do this. And this is the result of that. And it's like, okay, cool. So does the widget next to you. Like everyone's got that. No big deal. It's cool. When we buy something, we want to know the features. We want to know the battery life. We want to know all the bells and whistles that we get with the thing we're buying, services, products alike. But how do you benefit someone's life? That is what it means to sell yourself, whether you're, again, just a product or a service. The features are important, but they don't get to the heart of why someone wants to go with you over someone else. Why will they pick you over the competition? Why will they pick you and not even look into the competition? How do you benefit someone's life? If you're a massage therapist, you know what? You could just say, I'm really good at getting to those knots. I'll work it out. I'll get in there. Okay. That sounds like every massage therapist. Congratulations. That sounds like the minimum barrier to entry. That's a feature, but it's not so special. Now, if you message your clients to say that you increase their energy level and you decrease their anxiety, now you're striking a chord with people who are struggling in those areas. And especially if you know you have high high anxiety patients, or maybe you have really busy, insanely packed, double booked entrepreneurs who barely get into your office for 25 minutes and you need to work it out in that time. Benefit them. Don't just say what you can do. What will you do to change their life? This is huge. I don't run around saying, yeah, hi, I make YouTube videos for people. That is a thing I do. That is a feature of what I do. I make podcasts for people. I make these little audio messages for you to listen to every Tuesday. That is a feature. That is not a benefit. I am not benefiting your life by yelling at you right now. I benefit you by knowing you very well, sticking with my mission, saying no to everything outside of that mission, creating a name that resonates with you, telling you my story, crediting my team, having a similar vibe across the board, and using all of those things to help you go after the life you want. That is a very different conversation than the next guy is going to have with you. And that is why you may or may not be listening to yet another podcast from me. Or maybe you're listening to this after you watched 100 YouTube videos. It's because you remember me that you come back and you choose me as your coach. So here I am. But if I was not clear on how I benefit you, who knows the crazy stuff I would be tweeting or posting on Instagram? You know, it's like it would all not align. All those things that don't fit, don't go there. And that's because I know how to explain to you what my purpose is as a brand to make you better. Those are my tips for creating a brand that everyone will remember. Let's do a quick recap. Know your audience. Choose your name. State your mission, relate your story, credit your team, create your vibe, and share your benefits. If the idea of continuing to build a brand and create your business is of interest to you, the doors have opened for my Freedom Finder business program, the Gatlu Society. Actually, just letting you know, you're the first people and the last people to hear about this because technically the doors closed yesterday. So if you're listening to this on the day that the podcast comes out, you can still get in, but you will be the very, very, very last ones to join this inaugural group, to be part of the community where we are helping you follow your passion and create love for work that fits your life. Head over to gatlu.com/membership. That's GATLUW.com/membership. We're kicking off this week and you could still get grandfathered into those early bird price levels, whether you want to join at a monthly and easily cancel whenever you like, or jump into the annual where I am actually sending all my annual members a signed copy of Vlog Like a Boss, Good Morning, Good Life, and the Good Morning, Good Life planner. So go and check that out for some real actionable advice that you need to build your business and go after the life you want. I'd like to give another shout out to our friends over at Dot Online. Do not forget that we have moved all of our show notes to detailtherapy.online thanks to them, and you will be able to find all the links and anything else you wanted to hear from this episode over there. So again, detailtherapy.online from here on out when you want to know what's up at Detail Therapy. You can also create your own custom URL by going to get.online and use my code Amy for 90% off. All the branding. We love it. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Cheers.